Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our program, Updates on iPESAKIT and Flow of Prescription in Outpatient Pharmacy. My name is Nabila Sukri from Clinical Management Unit and I will be your moderator for today. Attention to all participants. Before we start our program, please ensure that your audio Zoom application is on silent mode. Then, the attendance link will be provided 30 minutes after the program, and the feedback link will be provided 5 minutes before the program ends. All the participants need to fill up the attendance and feedback form to get the CTD points. For your information, iPESAKIT is a hospital information system used for documentation purposes. Now, I would like to introduce our three speakers. Firstly, Sister Nurhaziah binti Abdul Aziz and Brother Hafiz Shazwan bin Razwan. Both of them is from Department of Information Technology. And our third speakers are Sister Mary Hu Wei Ying from Department of Pharmacy, SASMEC at IIUM. Without further ado, I will pass the session to our first speaker today from IT Department. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning. Okay, for this program, I will talk about iPESAKIT progress from 2016. Okay, I will present this slide. Okay. Okay, first on 2016, when boleh tak saya cakap Melayu? Saya rasa boleh kot lah. Saya campur-campur je lah. Okay. Okay. During the inception of the SASMEC or IIUM Medical Center, we have received instruction from Mampu to, like we say, I would say, to use iPESAKIT from PPUM since it's the most suitable for our use case at the time. Okay. So with that, in 2016, the interface was like this. As you can see, it's very interesting to see. It's but it's quite old, the interface. But it already have all the interfaces, all the menu that you want, that people need. But it still doesn't have admin at the time. And billing report was only at 25. So it took PPM and IIM Medical Center 2 years to provide a graphical overhaul for the system and to add admin for system. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the new interface as all of you can see on the screen. Okay, for registration, we have only added some new features, big features lah. But most of the new features are in billing for the reports. I just go through generally. Billing for the reports, and iDiet. Okay, and also we added load balancer, means it's much balanced and less slow from 2016. I don't know if any of you can remember lah kan? Okay. Next, okay, this is the new PMR. It's quite different from the old one, especially on the part of admin. Okay, and this is for nurses, but you can see that it's not the same lah. But EMR was very old interface, and after that 2018, 2019, sorry, excuse me. We added TPN, my team added TPN and chemotherapy. And this is to cater for TPN and chemotherapy drugs which needs to be, I would say, bancuh dulu lah kan. Kita kena bancuh dulu ubat tu. Okay. And this is the new TPN module, TPN submenu. Okay. Developed by PPM, and majority of it was made by Sister Hazia Hassola. She catered for this menu with pharmacy department. Okay. And I don't know if you know this, but we have already added quite a lot of charts in iPESAKIT since 2018 at least. We have added quite some charts lah. So we have already quite some stuff lah. Sebab kita masa tu ada saya, Alif, Azia dengan Mushido, dia bawa masuk masa tu. Jadinya bolehlah nak buat chart dengan notes banyak. Okay. Okay, this sample lah. Mungkin ada yang tak pernah tengok kan. Tak pernah tengok notes-notes dalam iPESAKIT. Tapi sejak November 2016, sejak buat tu, lebih kurang 1 juta notes dah dibuat oleh user lah. User dah type. By default, MMC cuma create 50 notes saja by default. Tapi sejak daripada buat tu, slowly lah kita buat, dah ada 200 lebih dah notes yang dibuat untuk kegunaan user. Kalau boleh tengok dalam video ni lah. Panjang juga sebenarnya. Berapa minit saya tak ingat lah. Okay, tak apalah kan. Seminit lah, seminit. Okay. Sebab saya tak nak buang masa menonton semua, saya skip sikit lah ya. Tak habis lagi, kita scroll. Okay. Okay, done. Next, kita ada tambah rehab workbench. Bukan kita tambah features dalam rehab workbench. Bila 2016, inilah interface rehab workbench yang lama lah. Before the addition of new features like therapy screening, okay, and also form for consent form. Okay, and besides that, we also have referral appointments lah untuk memudahkan proses terapis, fisioterapis, arrive patient di klinik dan buat notes semua lah. Okay, next kita akan pergi ke pharmacy module. Okay, ini pharmacy module yang lama before di overhaul, di upgrade. Nampak macam banyak, tapi sebenarnya 4 logo ni adalah placeholder untuk future masa tu lah. For the current time, future project. TPN batch semua tak ada lagi. Lepas 2019 baru kita start buat semua tu untuk di-order semua kan. Dan yang latest dah ada drug template. This menu is to facilitate pharmacists lah untuk create new drugs in the system for usage. Okay, this is the chemo template lah for pharmacists. Same concept, just different drugs. Okay. Okay, next we're moving to medical report system. Kami ada buat visit pada 2017 kata tak ingat dah. Tapi untuk dapatkan medical report system lah, untuk integrate dalam sistem kita, untuk facilitate medical record unit guna benda ni supaya doktor juga boleh guna untuk buat notes. Dia doktor akan tahulah benda ni sebenarnya. Okay, pada 2018 kami pergi ke PPM juga untuk buat lebih kurang macam TOT lah ataupun demo patient welfare system, dan pada tahun yang sama kita masukkan ke dalam iPESAKIT yang medical center lah pada waktu tu. Okay. Ni untuk bantu patient yang kurang dari segi kewangan lah, ada masalah sikit dari segi kewangan. Okey, setakat itu saja tu untuk sistem, tapi ada lagi next slide. Okey, back-end changes to iPESAKIT. Pada 2018, PHRS bertukar dari internal load balancing kepada dedicated, which means instead of kita run internal saja, kita improve the load, meaning kita control server tu pas ke mana, jadinya data should be laju sikit lah. Saya tak tahu ramai pasang ke tak, tapi berbanding 2016-2017 memang berbeza lah. Memang berbeza dia punya speed dan data dia tu lah. Okay. Pada 2019 kita mula tukar database kepada virtual machines sebab masa tu ada isu dengan hardware. Jadi kita nak elakkan isu hardware lagi dah. Kita transfer semua ke virtual 2019. Okay, in 2020 ini user tak tahu ni, tapi kami just sharing lah kan. 2020 HR system separated completely from iPESAKIT, which means dia ada separate server dia ada separate database untuk ringankan lagi beban kepada iPESAKIT lah, sebab iPESAKIT banyak load dari segi notes macam saya cakap tadi. 1.7 juta note telah dibuat, termasuk doktor, rehab semualah. Okay. In conclusion, telah bertambah an increment of about 200 notes collectively, addition of new features into rehab, patient module, pharmacy, etc. Macam billing, dulu ada 25 report, sekarang sudah ada 34, salah saya. 34 modul report sudah ditambah. Macam farmasi pun sudah banyak tambah, especially on workload. Admin kita tambah juga. Dulu prescribing dalam menu doktor, saya tak sure ada doktor lama tak lama, hanya untuk prescribe di klinik sajalah, bukan untuk ward. Pada 2018 kita pakai admin, fully pakai. Kita pilot, kemudian kita fully phasing. Okay, third, separation of systems and migration to virtual machine to improve performance. Macam saya cakap tadi, dia untuk mudahkan semua orang nak guna. Bila iPESAKIT laju, semua orang happy, macam itulah. Okay. Kemudian, ini future plans for iPESAKIT ataupun THIS. Separation of kewangan from iPESAKIT database. Sekarang ni kita kongsi lagi. Saya tak rasa kewangan introduce a lot of load for the system. Tapi just to be safe, kita separate lah, supaya bila iPESAKIT down ataupun kewangan down, dia tak affect sistem lain. Okay, feature ada juga integration of lab order module into iPESAKIT. Feature ni dah ada, tapi kita tak guna pakai lagi sebab flow kita belum sama. Jadinya kita sedang cuba matching dan cuba discuss dengan LRS lah untuk improve, untuk integrate benda ni. And upgrading and updating of current pharmacy sub-module. Kita akan buat changes. Ni lebih ke pharmacy side lah, untuk improve MIMS punya drug interaction dan features, basically pharmacy lah. Nak cerita takut tak tahu kan. Okay, any questions? Kalau ada soalan, saya bukalah soalan. Sebab apa? Ada, memang improvement ada. Cuma saya nak tanya in case ada cadangan-cadangan lain. Kalau tak ada, saya proceed. Ada soalan kan? Ada? Okay, kalau tak ada soalan, thank you so much for your kind attention and I appreciate you listening. Okay, thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to Brother Hafiz from IT department. So just in case all the participants, if you guys have any suggestion, you may suggest an email to our to ITD department, what's the improvement, and usually they will discuss with CMU whether we can execute the suggestion or not. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite for our second presenter today, Sister Mary from Outpatient Department, Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center. Please welcome, Sister Mary.
Very good morning. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen? With Fadi?
Yes, very
yes,
well.
All right. Okay, thank you. So let's get the ball rolling. Very good morning. I'm Mary, a pharmacist from Outpatient Pharmacy. So I'm here to talk about flow of prescription in outpatient pharmacy. Okay, here I would like to take the opportunity to share some information regarding flow of prescription, patient movement, and also workflow at outpatient pharmacy, and also the operation time of outpatient pharmacy and also emergency pharmacy. Okay, so I will start with flow of prescription, patient movement, and also workflow at outpatient pharmacy. So you can see on the left is actually the flow of patient. So patient, after they have seen the physicians in the clinic, they are supposed to go to the billing counter to settle the bill. And then the bill includes consultation fees and also medication, right? And then after settling the bill, the patient will then proceed to pharmacy counter to get their medications. Right. On the right side is actually the flow of prescription and also the workflow of outpatient pharmacy. So prescriber will prescribe the prescription in iPESAKIT, in which outpatient pharmacy staff will screen and bill the medications, followed by preparation of medications, which includes billing, counter checking. And then when the patients arrive at the pharmacy counter, then we will dispense the medication to the patient. Okay, so this is a picture of a billing counter in outpatient waiting area. And this is pharmacy counter at outpatient waiting area. If you guys have visited us, then you guys will be familiar with the layout in the outpatient waiting area. And last but not least, we have our drive-through counter, in which I'm really proud of. So this is actually a pharmacy counter, whereas the most right side is actually a billing counter. So it's pretty much integrated, where patient will drive through the billing counter first to settle the bill, and then to take the medication, proceed to taking the medication at the pharmacy counter as per SOP. Right. Next is the operation time of outpatient pharmacy and emergency pharmacy. Okay. Generally, outpatient pharmacy opens from 8 to 5:30 p.m. However, we have to pay close attention because different counters will have slightly different operation time. So at outpatient waiting area, the counter opens from 8 to 5:30. However, we are closed during lunch break and also during the Friday prayer, where we close from 12:15 to 4:45. To 2:45. Sorry. Okay. Outpatient pharmacy generally closes on weekends and public holiday because outpatient pharmacy generally caters patient from clinic. So clinic usually closes on weekends and public holidays, so we do the same. On the other hand, drive-through counter opens from 9 because we have to make way for our hadith recitation and also morning briefing. So we open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, the drive-through counter operates through the lunch break, during lunch break, right? And as for Friday, the drive-through counter closes from 1 to 2:45 afternoon, right? And as for the emergency pharmacy for now at SASMAC, we don't operate for 24 hours yet. So from Monday to Friday, the emergency pharmacy will open from 5 evening to 7:30 morning the next day, and we mainly caters patient discharge from emergency department And also for the time being, we are dispensing discharge patient that discharge from ward after 5 at emergency pharmacy counter. So on the other hand, during weekends and public holiday, the emergency pharmacy will operate 24 hours. So okay, so I would like to take this opportunity, it's a golden opportunity to share some problems that we encountered in outpatient pharmacy. Among them are prescription after 5:30 evening, prescribing patients old meds without proper scrutinizing, patients arriving at billing counter when there have no prescription, and also there's no clinical notes or plan inputted in the clinical in the EMR or nursing bench. Okay, the first problem is prescriptions after 5:30. So I would like to shed some light that there is only 2 assistant pharmacy around in outpatient pharmacy after 5 p.m. So I would like to advise to kindly adhere to minimal prescription from clinic after 5 p.m. Prescription that were prescribed for patients whose TCA was postponed after 5 p.m., especially when our whole country was in the MCO and interstates are being limited. So there were a large pool of patients where the TCA was postponed. So those prescriptions whereby patients are not in the clinic, we will prepare the next day, especially if the prescriptions were prescribed after 5 evening. If under any unavoidable circumstances that prescription have to be prescribed after 5:30, for example, in situations where there's a delayed clinic started late, or there's prolonged consultation with the patient, and at the same time, it requires patients to take the medications after 5:30 on the same day, I would like to plead for all physicians to, number 1, kindly ask the staff nurse to call outpatient pharmacy at extension 2577 before 5:30 p.m. to inform that there is patient that will be collecting the medications after 5:30. With that, if the staff is informed, then they are supposed to wait for the patients to come and dispense the medication to them. If we are not informed, then outpatient will be closed at 5:30 if there is no other patients at the counter at the moment. Right? So I hope this clears the confusion or the problem that physician faces or staff nurse faces if sometimes patient just got delayed. So just kindly give us a call and inform that, hey, there's one patient, so please wait for the patient, and we will take it. All right. So I would like to share of a real case in which prescription was prescribed after 5, right? So I'm not sure why there are prescription that was prescribed after 5 at 7 p.m. Okay, and yeah, there were 3 prescriptions. So if you can see, this is actually a pharmacy interface that the waiting time has exceeded 30 minutes. So for everybody's kind information, outpatient pharmacy has a quality objective to screen medication, to screen prescription within 30 minutes. So that's our quality objective, and we have a statistic and record and data for that. So it's actually a big disappointment to me when we work so hard from 8 to 5 to fulfill the waiting time of 30 minutes for screen prescription, but then the next morning when I check the system, we have some anomalies going on because of a late prescription. So I will hope for a good cooperation from all to try not to prescribe after 5:30, because this will actually disrupt our quality objective and our KPI, right? Okay, next, prescribing patients all meds without proper scrutinizing. So I have a few real life examples that happened in outpatient pharmacy. So let's go through them one by one very quickly. Yeah, so this is patient's prescription. The case is patient's latest statin is tablet atorvastatin. Previously, patient was on simvastatin. So this prescription, if you see, there's 2 statin prescribed together, which is simvastatin and atorvastatin, right? And at this prescription, you can see there is medications that were ordered twice. So if you see, this is Broadwell MDI, this is trimethazidine MR tablet. Then again, it was ordered twice at the almost end of the prescription, right? With the exactly same dose, same frequency, and same duration. Okay, so for this patient's TCA is postponed. So underlying break medication, which is the repository ointment, permethrin lotion scabies, and also cefprozim, which is an antibiotic. It was prescribed previously for short-term use. So, but then it was again reordered when patient's TCA is postponed and the pharmacy needs a new prescription. Right. Underlying blue medication is being repeated but in different dosage format. You can see it's levodopa, carbidopa, but one is a tablet and one is in suspension. So for everyone kinds of information, we don't have Cinemat suspension in outpatient pharmacy at the moment. Okay. So and then the next case is duplicate order with different frequencies. So vildagliptin was prescribed twice. One with the BD dosing and one with the OD dosing. So our colleague confirmed, called and confirmed with doctor, and we are supposed to follow the OD dosing, which is actually the latest dose and latest frequency. Okay, and this one is patient's latest medication was Genemat, in which actually doctor up titrate and added sitagliptin to the anti-diabetic regime. But in view TCA of the patient was postponed, so we require a new prescription. So the doctor prescribed both metformin, which is the old medication, and also Genemat, which is the latest medication, in one prescription. So this is actually very, very dangerous because it can actually lead to medication error. All right, the next one, the third one, C, patients arriving at billing counter when physician have not prescribed medication. So we found that this had been very happening frequently, more frequent than usual as the time passed. So I will take this opportunity to share by referring to the flow of patient, the flow of prescription, and workflow of outpatient. If patient arrives at the billing counter, but there is no prescription available yet, the work process, the workflow will be disrupted at outpatient pharmacy, including billing. So this is especially disruptive if patients choose to take the medications at the drive-thru counters, as the space at the drive-thru is very limited. Okay, why so? So I'm very sure that you guys have seen the previous slide where there's the flow of patient and there's the flow of prescription and also workflow of outpatient pharmacy. So as you can see here, if patient arrives at the counter, billing counter, without a prescription, there's no way we can proceed. And also patient will be stuck at the billing counter. Okay, so there are instances where patient insisted that the physician claimed that there will be medication for the patient, but when we called the physician said, no, there's no medication for the patient. So some patients, they were so insistent that we ended asking the patient to go back to the clinic and get things clarified, because the pharmacy, we had made the call to the doctor, and unfortunately the doctor or physician said that there's no medication for the patient. Right? This is one very rare case, but it happened before, in which the clinical notes were input at 3:38 in the evening, but the first prescription was prescribed at 4:40 evening. Okay, so patient actually waited for almost an hour at the outpatient waiting area, waiting for the prescription to be prescribed before we can proceeding to process the prescription and dispense the medication to the patient. Okay, no clinical case input. iPESAKIT is an integrated system between physician, pharmacist, lab results, social bench, and so on, as per explained by Brother Hafiz from IT. So since iPESAKIT enables pharmacists or assistant pharmacists to have access to clinical notes by physician, we do open clinical notes when we screen patients' medication in order to provide the best pharmaceutical care for the patients. Brother Fadi, I think the prayer is being respected. Shall we pause for what?
Yes.
Right, let's continue where did I left. All right, okay, since iPESAKIT enables pharmacists, assistant pharmacists to have access to clinical notes by physician, we do open clinical notes when we screen patients' medication in order to provide the best pharmaceutical care for the patients. So when there is discrepancy and it wasn't documented, for example, there's no clinical notes or the clinical notes is different and the prescribed medication is different, we will have to contact the physician. Unfortunately, sometimes it's hard to reach physician, etc. Sometimes when in our patient setting we call clinic, and then the staff nurse at the counter will connect us to the rooms of the physician, and sometimes it's hard to connect to the right room. Sometimes the doctor is not in the room, then sometimes the doctor is not in the clinic, and we have to call their person number, and sometimes it's so hard to get through the operator to be connected to the physician and things like that. So this is an example where there was no clinical notes at the time of screening of a prescription. So patients, all those was 2 puff OD for fluticasone spray. So then it was prescribed 1 puff OD. So because there was discrepancy, there's no clinical notes. So for precaution purpose, I gave a call to the physician, and it was decided, after discussion with the physician, it was decided that patient is supposed to be prescribed with the old dose, which is 2 puff OD. Right. And this is the second clinical notes that I would like to share. The plan is written very briefly, TCA 3 months later. Nothing much is documented in clinical notes. So when we double check the prescription, there was something, there's this clopidogrel tablet that were discontinued on August. It was prescribed on June, but discontinued on August. So what we have to do, we have to confirm with the physician. So after confirming with the physician, it's decided that the clopidogrel is not for the patient. So we decided to off the clopidogrel. So in case like this, sometimes we find it hard whether to call or not to call. And there were times where we got apprehended that we kept calling physician for small minor issues. So to be honest, there are cases where we do have, I mean, whether it's minor or major, that we still have to call because of documentation purposes, right? So I think that's all from me for today. So may our practice be the best for the patients, and I hope that my talk today will clarify some issues, right? So thank you very much. I open the floor to questions.
All right, thank you, Sister Mary, for the beautiful recitation at the end by the hadith. Anyway, there's one question in the chat box asking the error in duplication from the previous prescription. Was it simply the prescriber copy and paste, or is there an option to continue or repeat the previous prescription? This is from Dr. Aminatul Munira.
Dr. Munira.
Yes.
We were trying very hard to figure out the problem, whether it's a problem for the system or it's an individual problem or the physician problem. The duplication, to be honest, I didn't really approach each physician and ask what did you do in the system. But after exploring with the IT, when patient is in ward, there is a button where you can tick, and all the active prescription or active medications will be prescribed. But this is only applicable for in-ward patient and not for outpatient or clinic setting. This is because to memudahkan, to ease the process of patient, especially patient that were being transferred from one ward to another. For example, ICU, discharged from ICU and being transferred into IM1 or IM2 ward. So that is to ease the prescriber to prescribe all the active medication that was in ICU, from ICU to the new ward. But in outpatient pharmacy, I have checked, there's actually a function or an interface where doctor can tick all medication, previous medication, but you have to choose one by one and not just one tick and it will select every drug. So after me going through the interface, actually at the side there's actually date of prescribe for each medication. So you can actually see which medications is the latest one. So to be honest, you can ask Hazira or you can ask Hafiz that I have been working very closely with IT department to detect and pinpoint what's the problem. Is it the system or is it the physician? Because sometimes I notice that maybe, especially auto, they have like a fast turnover rate of postgrads. So we do have maybe that the physician is not familiar with the system. So that's why I have been also be in close contact with everybody to maybe discuss, maybe making training in iPESAKIT or e-prescribing a compulsory as an orientation for a new physician in SASMEC. But we're still confronting, right? So thank you for the question, Dr. Munira. I hope that clarifies some gray area. So, but to be honest, the best practice is actually to, after you prescribe, there is actually another panel for you to check the list of medication. The best practice is actually to go through each medication before before the physician click the button prescribe, because from there you still able to edit. For example, if you notice that the frequency is wrong, you still can edit from that list. It's normally at the right side of the panel. So I think that is the best practice to go through, because in a manual setting, I've seen most physicians that will go through also their manual prescription, in handwritten manual prescription, and also the handwritten manual BHT. So I think the same can be applied in SASMEC also. Okay, so I hope that clarifies, and I hope I was able to give some good suggestion. Thank you, Dr. Munira, again for the question.
All right, any more questions? As far only one. And the attendance form actually already distributed at the chat box. If the attendees can look and click, make sure to claim the CPD points, as we are approaching at the end of the year to submit APA. I know some of us still are catching up with the points. If there's no more question, then I would like to thank to our presenter today and also participants today. Quite a lot of numbers, almost 130. I think more than that actually, plus with the sharing screen. Thank you to Brother Hazia, thank you to Sister Hazia, Brother Hafiz, and also Sister Mary for the presentation today. Without further ado, I would like to pass back to our moderator. Okay. I would like to pass back to our moderator for the closing. Okay, Sister Nabila.
All right. Thank you to our speakers for today. Hopefully all of us can get the benefits from this program. With that, we end our program with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-Ans. Thank you.